Hello everyone, coming up tonight on Now, breaking the cycle of abuse.
A lot of the things in that book I never shared with anybody.
She chose to follow the path of the deputy who saved her instead of repeating the mistakes of the parents who abused her.
Plus, a teacher is blowing up on Twitter because he let a student sleep during his class. We will explain the unconventional teaching method.
We are also trying to share what we know.
And Somali immigrants are reaching out to Mainers in their community with friendship and food.
This is News Center Now. The Twin Cities of the Androscoggin can be a haven for immigrants and refugees. Many of these individuals are carving out a life for themselves and boosting Maine's economy. Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. Food is a universal language that brings people together, and a food truck in Lewiston will soon serve up success.
We did it! We made our goal! Thank you!
Somali farmers in Lewiston are celebrating. They crowdfunded enough startup money on Kickstarter to take their business on the road. They've been working tirelessly to create a farm-to-table food truck with recipes from their Somali roots. They're growing the vegetables they'll use at their farm in Lisbon. All they need now is some water, the sun, and the actual truck.
Most of the crops is actually what we used to grow in back home.
Farm manager Kali Farah and Esnino Abraham moved to Maine more than 10 years ago. Muhammad Dikau translates, so language is no barrier for them.
I want to thank the United States.
To say they appreciate their new life would be an understatement. They fled civil war in Somalia.
Murder, killing your innocent people, killing your relatives.
At first, Dikau was a lifeline for these farmers turned business owners, helping them learn the language, the city, and what it means to be an entrepreneur in Maine.
We want a community have a connection through food.
That's the mission of the Asukan Co-op food truck. Use family recipes to connect lifelong Mainers and new Mainers. It's all in the name, Asukan meaning unity and together. And they hope to have the food truck ready to roll out by late July. It will be parked on Sabata Street in Lewiston.
And most importantly, did you hook us up with like a taste test on this? Like, do we get any kind of benefit for?
We were still growing the vegetables. We got to wait for those vegetables to grow, and then they can start
July,
cooking.
Can I try some?
Yeah, let's go.
All right,
you
that's
and
all
me.
I'm asking. And pretty soon you're going to actually love the idea of grabbing a bite outside. Right, Keith?
I see what you did there.
See?
Nice transition.
See?
Yeah, you know, actually today wasn't so bad until the afternoon when showers rolled in. Temperatures got into the 70s in a lot of spots, 60s in Portland and Wiscasset, but the rain did eventually move in. You know, it looked like a wall of rain to our west earlier today, but it was relatively dry at the surface, so it kind of ate away at some of this precipitation. It's been generally on the light side as it moves through southern and western Maine right now, with quite a few holes in the action as you look back into Vermont and New Hampshire. So that is kind of the end of that. There's just some few isolated showers behind it. So scattered stuff tonight, certainly not a washout, but not the nicest of evenings either. Hour by hour forecast is going to show you with these dew points rising. It feels humid, yes, but the showers come through around midnight. And after that, we start to clear out. The good news is it's a little bit faster timing-wise than it was yesterday. So Wednesday is looking better and better with more sunshine from the start to the middle of the day, and then maybe a few thunderstorms popping up tomorrow afternoon. But you'll notice before that happens, temperatures will be able to pop into the 70s in a lot of spots, and the showers and storms are relatively isolated, particularly over southern Maine and the coast. But that's not the big feature in the forecast, right? We're going to talk about Memorial Day weekend in just a few minutes.
What are your conditions for meeting with Kim Jong-un? You said you
Well, I'd rather not say, but we are working on something, and, you know, there's a chance that it'll work out. There's a very substantial chance that it won't work out. I don't want to waste a lot of time, and I'm sure he doesn't want to waste a lot of time.
With the South Korean president sitting right next to him in the Oval Office, President Trump said that the June 12th scheduled summit with Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un is far from set in stone, but said even if a meeting between the U.S. and North Korea doesn't happen next month, he does still think the two leaders could meet in a future date.
On the heels of the sexual abuse scandal that rocked USA Gymnastics, new accusations, this time against USA Swimming. Olympian Ariana Kukors is suing USA Swimming, claiming officials knew her coach, Sean Hutchison, sexually assaulted her while she was a minor. She says they covered up the abuse and manipulated its background check system so that Hutchison wouldn't fail the test. In a statement, USA Swimming says, quote, "We have been in regular contact with Ariana's legal team over the last several months and will continue to work with them and Ariana through this process." Coach Hutchison has denied any wrongdoing.
It's going to take time to work through all of the changes that we need to make here, but I'm committed to getting this right.
The next stop on Mark Zuckerberg's apology tour, European Parliament. Facebook CEO was called before one of the EU's governing bodies today to answer questions about privacy and security. European countries have taken hard lines on American tech companies before, including Google and Apple. Still to come, she survived beatings, neglect, and sexual abuse.
And if those things didn't happen to me, I don't know that I'd be the same person. So,
breaking the cycle of child abuse, a story of perseverance and empowerment, later on Now.
Alrighty, how about a round of applause for Miss Maine USA 2018. She made it into the top 10 last night. The last time a Maine contestant made it that far in the Miss USA finals was back in 2010. Marina Gray is a member of the Army National Guard.
She says her service allowed her to grow as an individual and helped her get her education. Ultimately, Miss Nebraska went on to win the crown, but Maine will always be #1 in our hearts.
Only one Miss Maine ever in the top 5 in our history, so we need to change that.
I didn't
win
know
this
that
whole
stat.
thing. It's true. While we are celebrating Miss Maine, let's take a look at today's That's So Maine moments. Sometimes it feels like winter one day and then suddenly summer the next, right? Sadie Shaw says, only in Maine would you pack up your snow sled for the season wearing a bathing suit. As soon as it hits 50 degrees, the shorts are coming out.
Yeah, the jorts are out too, right, Lee? And do you know someone, you don't wear jorts, who would love a gift wrapped up in this John Deere paper? Mickey posted this to our Facebook page using the hashtag That's So Maine.
This one's from a few days ago, but the golden heart of a good Samaritan Mainer never goes out of style. Sarah snapped this photo in Windham where a man got out of his car, stopped lanes of traffic, and then guided a family of ducks to safety. Make way, ducklings on 302.
I love that book, Make Way for Ducklings. But this bird isn't trying to go anywhere. This poster says this seagull is living his best life, chilling in a parking lot. Well, if it's sitting, at least it can't poop on your car, so that's a perk. And remember to always send us your That's So Maine moments by using the hashtag That's So Maine on social media. You can find us just about anywhere, but Facebook is usually the way to go.
Or anywhere, like she said. So, no detention for this classroom sleeper. In fact, her teacher wanted her to get a nap. Why his compassion is hitting a chord with educators everywhere.
And a chance for some thunderstorms tomorrow, but everyone's eyes, of course, are on the weekend. Keith's forecast coming up.
If you were abused as a child, the sad truth is you're more likely to abuse a child in your life. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reports that 1/3 of children who are abused or neglected will subject their own kids to the same mistreatment. So, how do you break that cycle?
Chris, you spoke with a York police officer who survived so much at such a young age.
Yeah, Lee and Lindsay, Officer Jamie Roby had a miserable childhood. She grew up on welfare in the projects in Worcester, Massachusetts. Her mother was addicted to alcohol and drugs, and because of her neglect, Jamie suffered years of sexual abuse. Around age 12, she moved in with her father and stepmother in Jackson, Maine, where the abuse grew and changed. But Officer Roby didn't grow up to be like her parents. In fact, she devoted her life to saving kids just like her.
I was living in the projects. There were a lot of drugs around. There was a lot of violence.
This is the only family photo Jamie Roby has.
A really bad situation happened to me, and I had to get out of there.
No person should ever experience a childhood like hers.
To be, 12, 13 years old and to be looking at which was the lesser of the two evils, it was nothing to see a mirror with a line of cocaine. I had to weigh out whether I wanted to live in that situation with all of these people coming in and out of my home, or live with a woman that I knew was going to be physically abusive.
She moved away from her neglectful mother in Massachusetts, only to find new abuse in her father's home in Jackson, Maine. The people supposed to shield her from harm were inflicting it.
What could I live with and what could I not live with? And I looked at it really clearly, and I knew I could take a hit.
Roby and her siblings called their stepmother Red because of her hair and fiery temper, a temper expressed through her fists.
It was this anxiety piece where I was always nervous of what was going to set her off.
At 16, that abuse reached a peak.
She beat the ever-living daylights out of me, really, and she put me in the hospital. I ended up in the hospital. My face was completely unrecognizable. Both eyes, one was completely shut, the other one was, I had like a little sliver I could see out of, she pummeled my face. And
that's when a Waldo County Sheriff's deputy came to talk to her. What Roby now realizes was a defining moment for her.
He sat there and he's like, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your future? And I said, I kind of want to be a police officer. In the projects and throughout my life, when the police came, they always made it better. Whenever they came, they took the bad guy away. I always felt safe. He didn't even flinch, and he said, okay, well, this is what you need to do. Are you ready? And I'm like, I'm ready.
She doesn't remember the deputy's name, but that conversation changed everything. She petitioned the courts for emancipation, for freedom from her stepmother and from the abuse.
Okay.
24 years later, Roby now has 2 decades of law enforcement experience under her belt.
Roger that, I know.
And is the school resource officer at York Middle School.
The grip of our hand, nice and solid, right?
Teaching classes about citizenship.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Daniel.
Good job, Daniel. That was awesome.
While keeping an eye out for kids who may be suffering in silence at home.
With my job, I hear things and I see things and I know things. And sometimes I go home and it takes me a while to process it, because I can connect to that. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be confident.
Bruises, scrapes, repeated absences, signs of abuse that she knows all too well.
I have cases now. Unfortunately, it's not something that's just going to go away.
So she replicates what that deputy did for her more than 20 years ago, building positive relationships with the kids she sees every day.
And then that's when, that's when they'll disclose. That's when they'll come to you and they'll say, I don't know what to do with this. This is how I'm feeling, or this happened to me. And you're just like, how did you, you've been holding on to that for this long? I don't know how you did that, and those are the tough times for me, because I find out the weight that these kids are carrying around, and I'm just like, you never would have known.
Roby's story is documented in the pages of her book, Black to Blue. The chronicles of her abuse shape her life, but do not determine her future.
Boys and girls, listen up. Listen up. Whoever you are, it doesn't matter what your last name is, doesn't matter what house you grew up in, you can make something of your life. Just do something that is important to you, that matters to you, and give it everything that you've got.
Now, Officer Roby says when it comes to noticing the signs of abuse, she encourages people, if you see something, say something so that officers can investigate. She also says that the Department of Health and Human Services in Maine has been very responsive in her community to any things that they notice. She also says that teachers, the school counselor, the administrators, and police have team meetings to make sure that teachers are aware of some students who may be at risk.
I just didn't want to not be there because my mom wasn't there.
And tomorrow we're going to talk about the options for new parents to make sure that abuse never begins in the home. Lee and Lindsay.
All right, Chris, thank you very much, and Officer Roby for sharing her story. Hey, did you guys feel a bit of a rumble in Dover Foxcroft today? Well, it wasn't your imagination. A 2.1 magnitude earthquake popped up about midnight last night. Pretty small one, so it's more likely that you didn't even notice, but it's certainly possible if you're like, hey, wait a second.
What was that?
What was that?
We got an email or two, actually.
Yeah.
We did. Mainers noticed it, for the most part.
Sure.
Because it's a quiet state otherwise, so midnight, you notice that. Hey, today wasn't so bad. Showers now. Next couple of days, good, but it's all about the weekend, right?
That's what we
So
want to know.
Everybody's
we have
working for the weekend.
some better feeling about it.
Lover
Better
boy.
meaning like more accurate feeling about it. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll start with the showers that are moving in right now and continuing to move into the mid-coast. Bangor still dry, as is much of down east and northern Maine. But the showers are relatively light in most spots, and they're breaking apart. It was a wall of water to our west around 11:30 or noon today, but it was just so dry that it kind of broke up a lot of the precipitation shield, and now just scattered showers moving across the state. And there'll be a chance of them through the rest of tonight and early tomorrow morning before we clear out. Temperatures right now reflect the rain-cooled nature of western Maine, in the 60s there and some 50s. When you get away from where the rain is, it's in the 70s. Frenchville and Presque Isle continuing to have a heck of a month. They have been warmer than most of the state at least half the time, if not more, which doesn't happen all that often, but it's been because of where they've been away from the sea breeze and away from some of these shower events. So showers again continue to be a possibility tonight. It's not all that intrusive though, and by tomorrow morning we're clearing out. And tomorrow looks like a good day. I think we'll see a lot of sunshine. Temperatures will drive into the 70s by the afternoon, and in some places upper 70s. A couple of showers and thunderstorms will pop up later in the day. I don't think it's an overwhelming problem though. 20–30% chance of a shower is how I'd put it. And then we clear out for Thursday. Thursday's a partly cloudy to mostly sunny day, and it will be dry, leading us into a hot day on Friday. I've upgraded it from warm to hot because we got over 85. And that, in my mind, that's where you transition between the two. So 86, 87, 86, 84 or 85 in Portland, and the only areas that won't be warm, won't be hot, up across northern Aroostook County. So Frenchville and Presque Isle will not have a moment on Friday. Okay, let's talk about the weekend because it will be warm on Friday. Best day of the long weekend if you can take it. Now on Saturday, we start messing with this front a little bit. A couple of showers get into the forecast for Saturday afternoon. I think Saturday is a decent day. Sunday's probably the worst day. Front sags. Quite a few showers around on Sunday through Sunday afternoon, and then we should be able to push the front to the south on Memorial Day. That's the biggest question mark left. I think we can get it south. If we do, at least we'll see some sunshine, although temperatures won't be all that warm. So that's what it's really about, guys, is where that front's at. I think the chance of us being on the warm side of this front is now gone. Like, we're not going to be 85 degrees. So at this moment, it's almost better if we get the front so far south that we don't deal with the showers, and then we just get some sun. But it's not a washout as it stands. If it works out this way, Saturday is the warm day, Monday's a little bit sunnier, and Sunday is the worst of the weekend days. So that's kind of how it
At
works
least
right
if
now.
you're traveling that Friday and that Monday, you're not really up against anything weather-wise.
That Friday is
Can we talk
100.
about Friday?
The Friday's 100.
What are we doing Friday? We need to plan for Friday.
I don't know.
Should we take the show on the road?
Good.
Okay.
Got some ideas?
Maybe we'll do that.
To a beach.
All right.
Yes, I'm right there with
food.
you. Okay, guys,
Beach, food.
yeah, I'm there. I'm so there. I don't need any more convincing than that. Exactly. Okay, well, we all used to play tricks on the people who fell asleep in class, and here too, we do the same thing.
So there's this tweet though circulating through teaching circles because this educator actually let a student sleep through his class. Didn't even try to wake him up, and he's being applauded for it. Katie Chen has the story from Washington State.
As students rush to and from class at Cheney High School, sometimes it's easy to forget to take a break.
And I got to thinking, it's like, oh my gosh, these kids have so much on their plates. My class is just a small part of her life.
Monty Syrie is a 10th grade language arts teacher. His students call him Cy. And last week, one of them fell asleep in class when she was supposed to be working on an essay. He knew she had a crazy schedule, chores on the farm, extracurriculars, and long days.
I could cut her a break, and I did that because I could, because I had that choice to make.
He then took to Twitter explaining why, writing, "Meg fell asleep in class yesterday. I let her."
And I think it's important that we all remember, whether we're teachers, we're students, we're parents, we're community members, that there's another side, an important side to education, and it's not just about what we can measure on a standardized test.
The tweet's gone viral with nearly 4,000 likes. The responses on the thread have been overwhelmingly positive, with one person writing, "Teachers like you are a blessing to our children." Ultimately, for Monty, it's about the connections he makes.
I think that the lesson of compassion and kindness and empathy is one that I want them to take with them most of all as they enter into the real world. They're not going to remember gerunds and infinitives, 10 or 15 years from now, but I believe they're going to remember how I made them feel in my class and that I was here to support them.
So that's why he writes a sappy sigh rhyme to end the class every day.
May I share it?
To show his students they're valued.
In school, like life, there are trials we face, and as in life, we all need grace. And so it I give, so they may grow. It's all for them. I hope they know. I hope they know.
And teachers across the nation, even as far away as Australia, have reached out to him after his tweet.
All right, you know who's not sleeping right now?
Besides us?
Besides us, Cindy Williams. She has a preview of what's coming up in the next half hour.
Yeah,
hey, Cindy.
Let's hope not, Lindsay. Thanks. Yeah, one bite from this tick could leave you with a lifelong allergy. The Lone Star tick has made its way to Maine. The strange connection between this tick and red meat. I know that sounds weird. Tune in. Plus, he created some of the most recognizable art of our generation, the life and legacy of a local legend on Vinyl Haven, Robert Indiana. Those stories and much more ahead at 5:30. Back to you.
Cindy, thanks. Braindrops when we come back.
All right, today's Brain Drops is a study, but it's a little bit on the lighter side. University of Dayton recently did a large study on cues of attraction, so signs physically that somebody else is attracted to you, but they may not be exactly what you think are the cues. So one of the signs that someone is attracted to somebody else is maintaining close physical proximity.
What is going on here?
When somebody is like creepy up in your face like this.
I was on deadline, by the way.
Yeah, this is a sign. But surprisingly, there's no evidence to attraction when somebody flips their hair, around you, which is kind of something. So this is bad.
Oh, okay. Right.
That's bad. That's kind of a thing that people.
Lindsay looks disgusted at this point.
Yeah, she's like, she added a little extra something to that.
We needed to keep it real.
Other cues that somebody is attracted to you is if they laugh and they lean in at the same time. So let's see what that looks like. Oh, yes. Thank you, Chris Costa. So he is heavily interested there. What I thought was interesting is that some of the signs that are used in acting and whatnot for someone being attracted. Can we make this stop happening? Can we make this stop?
That's like. All of a sudden, it's like the Chucky doll was coming at us. I don't know what just happened.
Flipping your hair like that, biting your lip, none of those were linked to actually being attracted to someone. They're things that kind of people in movies and whatnot make it look like they are, so they're not. And I just thought that, the other ones make sense, being close to someone, laughing at their jokes, even if they're not funny.
Well, being close makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Right. You looked pretty uncomfortable.
I was.
Hey, let's take us out on that. Can we show Coco one more time here?
Yeah.
Just
speaking of uncomfortable.
Let's just take us out on this.
That's the perfect
way.
So
that's
guys. Hide the women and hide the children.
Didn't you say we wanted a
News
different
Center
show?
5:30 is coming up right now.